Good evening, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, evening headlines on January 26, 2023. My dad died 5 years ago. I've learned it's better to talk about death imperfectly than not at all. The Guardian, the 5 stages of grief. Bet you didn't know one was better sex. Is UK being left behind in global fight for investment? A Russian graveyard reveals Wagner's prisoner army. Reuters. A Russian graveyard reveals Wagner's prisoner army. Russia vs. Ukraine war updates. English news. CNN News 18. Wagner Group's use of convicts in Ukraine echoes Stalinist tactics. Voice of America. VOA News. A Russian graveyard reveals Wagner's prisoner army. Link's game. An AIDS shame and a poor lost Norfolk seal. Take the Thursday quiz. George Santos once claimed Jeffrey Epstein could still be alive. Live. The Independent. See Santos tense exchange with CNN reporter over campaign funds. CNN. Give him some credit, George Santos has performed a valuable public service. The Independent. Here's how George Santos could still be removed from office. The Independent. Rep. Goldman. There very well may be an indictment against George Santos. Burkina Faso unrest. France agrees to pull its troops out. Prosecutors to upgrade charges against 4 accused of rape of Madison Brooks. Live. The Independent. Suspects filmed callously laughing at 19-year-old rape victim shortly before her death. Express. 2 men arrested over LSU student Maddie Brooks' rape are released on bail. Daily Mail. Coroner shares traumatic injuries of girl, 19, fatally struck by car after alleged rape. Ukraine war. Zelenskyy not interested in meeting nobody Putin for peace talks. Sky News. Zelenskyy dismisses Putin as a nobody, but hails special bond with Johnson. Evening Standard. Ukraine not interested in peace talks with nobody Putin, Zelenskyy says. The Independent. Ukraine war. Volodymyr Zelenskyy not in mood to compromise despite fears of Russian gains as conflict drags on. Sky News. Zelenskyy in Tell All English interview says it's not correct to say if good guy Boris Johnson should return as PM. Enoch Burke. Irish teacher faces fine if court order not obeyed. 3 warnings before US boy, 6, shot teacher, lawyer. BBC. Virginia school's boss fired after teacher shot by 6-year-old despite warnings. Sky News. U.S. teacher sues school authorities for negligence after 6-year-old shot her in class. WION. Virginia teacher shot by 6-year-old student texted loved ones to say school was failing to act. Ukraine's Odessa, the Pearl of the Black Sea, added to UNESCO World Heritage List. The Guardian. Ukraine's Odessa designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. BBC. Ukraine's Odessa city put on UNESCO Heritage in Danger List. Euronews. Ukraine's Odessa wins UNESCO status despite Russia opposition. The Moscow Times. UNESCO grants Odessa's Historic Center World Heritage in Danger status. France 24 English. Chester Zoo. Rare tree kangaroo emerges from mum's pouch. Andrew Tate appears in Romanian prosecutor's office for second day of questioning over phones and laptops. Sky News. Andrew Tate claims case file is empty as H is taken for further questioning in Romania. The Telegraph. Andrew Tate appears for day 2 of forensic device searches. The Independent. Andrew Tate, self-proclaimed misogynist influencer, hits out in Romania, saying there is no justice. Sky News. Andrew Tate's phones and laptops being searched as he says there's no justice. Toothless Leopards and battered Abrams. Russian TV mocks NATO tanks promised to Ukraine. Video. The Guardian. See Russia's show of force after US pledges tanks. CNN. Ukrainians die as America and Germany spar over who should go first in providing tanks. The Hill. Letters. Welcome resolve from the West in the battle against Putin's barbarism. The Telegraph. Ukrainian MP. We are still in a David versus Goliath situation despite tanks announcement. EU wants to send more migrants away as irregular arrivals grow. Reuters. EU toughens stance on non-EU countries taking back citizens denied right to stay. The Guardian. Europe's inertia on migrant returns. Euractiv.com. EURACTIV. EU must prioritize increasing migrant returns, Commissioner says. Politico Europe. EU proposes new strategy for return of illegal migrants to their home countries, SchengenVisaInfo.com. Africa has become less safe, secure and democratic in past decade, report finds. The Guardian. African governance backslides on democracy. DW, English, democracy, backsliding, has slowed Africa's development, study. Al Jazeera English, report, much of Africa less safe, democratic than decade ago. Voice of America, VOA News. Africa must fight strongman backslide, billionaire Ibrahim says. Trump News Today, Meta to reinstate his Facebook and Instagram as 2024 campaign gears up. The Independent, Donald Trump allowed back on Facebook and Instagram, BBC News. BBC News, Donald Trump to be allowed back onto Facebook and Instagram. BBC, why Trump's Facebook ban was a blow to democracy, opinion. The Independent, Donald Trump reinstated to Facebook after 2-year ban. Ukraine war, tanks, peace talks, Putin and Boris Johnson. Key points from Kay Burley's interview with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Sky News, Ukraine war, Zelenskyy urges speedy delivery of Western tanks. BBC, Ukraine welcomes Western tanks as Russian missile strikes continue, BBC News. BBC News, Ukraine war, Russian missiles spotted heading for Ukrainian cities. The Moscow Times, we need jets and missiles to beat Russia, says Zelenskyy in fresh plea. 9 Palestinians killed in Israeli raid in Jenin. Ukraine says US and German tank pledges, only the beginning, and calls for fighter jets. The Guardian, US and Germany sending battle tanks to back Ukraine war effort. Evening Standard, what to know about Western tanks going to Ukraine, BBC Newsnight. BBC News, how many tanks are being sent to Ukraine? Why are Leopard 2 so good? Bloomberg, sending tanks to Ukraine makes one thing clear, this is now a Western war against Russia. Ukraine hit by Russian missiles day after West's offer of tanks. BBC, Russia-Ukraine war live, Russian missile strikes rock Kyiv as West mulls sending tanks to Ukraine. WION, Russia-Ukraine war, 11 killed and 11 wounded in Russian missile attacks. Wagner Group classified as criminal organization by US, live. The Guardian, Russia launches deadly strike on Kyiv as Ukraine waits for tanks. The Times, Ukraine wakes up to deadly attacks after securing battle tanks. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.